everybody. You're probably wondering what I'm doing on the ground. I get a lot of questions about the pelvic tilt, okay? So I thought I'd explain it today, all right? So if John comes over here to the side, okay? Now, if you look underneath, okay, you can see light underneath. See my hand? You can see light underneath my small of my back. Okay, this is relaxed. Okay, this position is no good for Chinese martial arts, for Wing Chun. Okay, so I keep telling you guys to make sure that you guys do the pelvic tilt when you're training. So I want to try to figure a way how to show it to you guys to make sure that you're doing it right. Okay, so this is and I thought of gymnastics. Okay, because gymnastics, they have the same pelvic tilt position. They call it the hollow position. Okay, and it's the center of, it's the base of all their movements, a lot of their movements, because it allows them to use their whole body when they're doing their movements. So, how do they practice this? Okay, well, what you do is, I have to get rid of the daylight. This is the curve in my back. So what I do is I take my small of my back and I want to flatten it to the ground. At the same time, I want to push my pelvic tilt. I want to tilt my pelvic forward, my pelvis forward, right? So it's two directions. I'm going forward with my pelvis and down with my small of my back. And when I do that two-way action, I get rid of the daylight. Now my spine is straight. Okay? Okay? So I'm doing two things at one time. Okay? You can't just do one movement. You have to do both. Small of the back, press it down, and the pelvis, move it forward. Okay? Ski it forward. Okay? Like that. Right? Now there's no more daylight. Okay? And then from here you can just practice developing this. You can strengthen this pelvic tilt. Okay? How gymnasts do it is they just raise their feet, keeping that pelvic tilt. Okay? And then they raise their hands. Okay? And they just hold this position. Point your toes, right? Just like this. Shoulders off the ground. Oh, jeez. Much harder. Okay? But this will help lock your body and give you a strong brick wall. Okay? This position. Shoulders up, toes up, legs straight, hands up, no daylight. Okay? So when you're doing that, practice that to get the feeling of what you're doing. Okay? Alright. Now that we understand how to do that, because the reason is I get a lot of questions on how to, one, do the move, and two is how to test if you're doing it right. Okay? So one is practice on the ground. That's going to help you. Then when you do it on standing up, right, you start to understand that it's not just one movement. It's not just hips forward. If I only do one movement, focus on the hips, pelvic tilt forward, my shoulders will start to lean away. See? A lot of beginners do this. Okay? The hips go forward, but the shoulders go back. This is no good. Okay? In Wing Chun, we never retreat. That applies to this principle, also applies to this basic movement. Okay? So you don't want to retreat the shoulders. Okay? So how do I do that? That means I have to do two actions. One is push the small of the back out to flatten it, and at the same time pelvic tilt forward. Okay? When I do the two actions, my shoulder alignment is still underneath my heels. I'm not leaning away. And I sink. Now my spine is straight. Okay? So learn to do this movement correctly. Okay? That way you're not a leaning brick wall like this. Okay? Now, okay, Brian's going to set his brick wall. Okay? This way so they can see you. Okay? So he's going to pelvic tilt, small of the back, right? See that? Good. And relax and sink. Okay? Now, what he's going to do is get into a double hand Tan position, okay? right? Elbows away from your body, one fist away, okay? Right? Naturally bring your elbows in, comfortable, okay? Don't force your elbows in, okay? Where your shoulders are going to lock, okay? I'm going to put my hands on him, on his chest. He's going to get underneath my elbows. You see this a lot when they usually on the internet, Chinese master is standing there like this, and a whole row of people are in front of him trying to push, right? Okay? Push him off balance. Okay? It's not, they make it seem like a trick. It's not a trick, okay? What he's doing is, remember we talked about before, is shovel. So when you're shoveling, you lift the back end. You don't lift the front end. It's too much work. You lift the back end. That lifts the front end. Okay? Less work, right? This is what he's doing. He's staying underneath me. Okay? He's underneath my body, and at the same time, he's using the back, okay, like a shovel to lift his hands up. He's not trying to use the front end. He's not trying to hold his hands up. Okay? He's using the back end like a lever, okay, to hold himself up. Okay? Got it? So now I try to push. I give him a little bit of pressure. Okay? As long as he stays underneath me and I push, he can take my energy and put it into his feet. Okay? As I push, he should sink. Okay? Sink. Yeah, and stay relaxed. He's starting to lean. This is no good. Okay? Not too much. Okay? So just relax and almost, but he's still not enough the back. Okay? One more time, right? Okay? Stay relaxed. Okay? Don't exaggerate this move. Okay? Just hold it up. Okay? A little bit. Rely on the brick wall. Okay? And the back end. Yeah, that's enough. Okay? And as I push you, okay? You stay. Yeah, that's better. Okay? Yeah, there he goes. Alright? So now I'm pushing, okay? But he can take my force, put it into the ground. Okay? So now you start to understand how easy it is to do this wrong. Okay? Got it? So if he puts his hand on me, I go like this. Okay? And if I try to meet, if I'm focusing on the hands, good. I focus on the hands, I can't stop him. There's no way. Okay? Right? If I try to lean into him, I meet his force, I get pushed away. Okay? So all I do is I take my hands, I put it underneath his elbows, bring my elbows in, right? And as he pushes, I sink. See how I lift him up? And he can push. See? He's making me stronger. See? That's it. Right? You got it? So that's a good way to test, to make sure that you are able to hold power by aligning the pelvic tilt and dropping your bottom triangle. Okay? So that all the energy coming into your hands goes down your feet. Okay? If I'm on top of him, if he's underneath me, right, and he pushes into me, okay, now it's really difficult. Okay? You understand? I can't stop him now. So that's why it's important to stay underneath your opponent. Okay? Get underneath your opponent. So whenever you're doing your Chi Sao, okay, or your Dan Chi, when you're in the Tan position, I'm holding him, see? Okay? If he tries to cut into me really strong, push into me, right? I don't want to push back with my hand. Keep pushing, I can't stop him. See? It's no good. What do I want to do? Relax my body, relax the third stick, focus on my elbow, get underneath and use the back end to do what? Stay underneath him and jack him up. So that once I'm in this position, right? Now, the more he pushes, because see, I'm raising him up a little bit through my elbow. The more he pushes in, right? Easy for me to hold his power now. Okay? Now if I want to see, I can even lift him up, see? Get him off his feet, okay? So when you're, that's where it starts to come into practice, when you're doing your sensitivity drills, okay? So when you're practicing first, make sure you practice 2 directions, okay? Pelvic tilt forward, small of the back, press it back. You get 2 actions, 2-way action, okay? Make sure your shoulders don't retreat, okay? Got it? And make sure you stay, when you're turnstile position, make sure you stay underneath your opponent and use the back end to jack him up. Make it easier to hold him up. And as he pushes, put it into your heels or your feet, his pressure. Okay? So that's a good way to practice to make sure you're doing this movement right. Okay? That's it. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Test your might.